Okay, here we are back once again with the exciting adventure of making a Viking shield. What I've done here is I've laid out these boards, just kind of overlapped them where I'm going to have the shiplapping on them. You know, just for the sake of preventing too much waste, I'm going to get some basic lines struck in a circle so I know more or less where I got to cut these things. Interestingly enough, my center point happens to fall pretty much right in the middle of one of the joints. And that's going to give me a hard time later. And this is all just here for the sake of telling me how much I really need. The board shifts a little bit, but that's okay. So now that I've done this, I'm gonna just number the boards. 1, 2, and there we have it. Now, take a look at them. You see that from this board I need this much. You know, you can nip it off of both ends, whatever. This way, I don't just wind up with long shiplap things that get all scarred up. I've got some of this poplar that I can use for later projects. I think I'll add a little bit more to this video later. Just throw a couple of videos together. In the meantime, I'm going to start getting these ready for their shiplapping. Okay, so here I've cut some these pieces that I marked out before. I just sort of cut off some of the excess so I actually have a little bit of scrap to work with as well. And it's a little test run on the boards. Turns out that I've got a 3/8 inch rabbeting bit that was just sitting around, so that's kind of a lucky break for me. But after a little test run, I'm filming this on my phone by the way, so I only really have one hand free at a time. They just wind up fitting together like that. And the depth is pretty good. They flush up nicely. Now you notice I got a gap springing up back there, pretty significant gap, and then it's springing up on the other side as well. What's happening here, and this is something that I mean you should always look out for when you're working, but especially with something like this, if anybody else tries it using the methods that I'm using, you see that on the outside of the rabbet it kind of dips in, and what happened there was that as the blade was spinning along, it caught a little bit of the grain that had its direction running this way, tore it out, and then as the bearing followed the path of the torn out wood, it carved that same pattern on the other side. So just something to look out for. Be mindful of your grain direction while you're doing this. Now, so in a few minutes I'm going to drink some coffee, clear off the workbench a little bit, and I'll be ready to start cutting the joinery for these boards. Alright, so in my very, very, very messy workshop, I have this little thing set up over here, which is my router clamped into my bench vise. A word about this, by the way, it's fucking stupid. Don't do it. I'm doing it because I'm stupid. But you'll be able to get the basic idea of what I'm doing. So, let's see, find a place to set this down. There we go. That works. this actually is that the majority of the shield got this these joints running on both sides of the boards. On the end pieces, of course, I really only needed on one, but board number 12, board number 11, get the lines meeting up-ish, sorta, kinda, it's something like that. But yeah, this is how the rest of this thing's gonna go. I don't have a whole lot of time left on this memory card right now, so I'm gonna stop it right here, and I'll pick it up when I got through this whole thing. Here, by the way, is another example of what I was talking about with the big chunks of grain tearing out. So, as soon as it got to that point, I stopped the router, got some glue into the crack, threw some tape over that, and hopefully that solves our problem later. So here I am again. I fixed everything that was going on with board number 10. Can't really even see it here, but that piece that tore out, glued it up, let it sit overnight, and now I've got the entire shield ready for glue up on a little table. So what I've done here is I've established where center is, and in doing that, I went around the entire thing with my little radius there. I'll just sort of put this down. And I checked along the borders just to make sure I didn't have any places where I was running off too much. Being satisfied with all that, I just, threw a bunch of little triangles in here, just for the sake of layout. And so, on each side, I got them pointing towards center, and then on the center seam, I've got them just pointing in this way. On the other side, I got them running in this direction. Personal preference, just the way I like to do it. So, at this point, I've got my dry fit, I've got all my layout marked in, and I'm ready for glue up. One little note, just because I've got it sitting on a couple of pipe clamps, and because it's sitting up so far, I'm gonna throw a couple of pieces under there just to support it on these outside edges. The pieces that I'm going to throw under there, I put some paste wax on them just for the sake of having any creep out, any glue creep or squeeze out, not affect it too much. That, by the way, is my tripod. Yeah, spring clamps, great, right? So yeah, I am ready for glue up. Let's see how that goes. Okay, I'm back again. There's glue on these joints. And right now, what I'm trying to do kind of quickly before this glue starts setting up on me is I want to just make sure I got these things lined up. So with the clamps already on there, just kind of tapping it in until those triangles line themselves back up. Alright, it's good enough for my purposes. Right now, I'm actually about to run out of video here, so let me just go delete a couple of things and get right back to this. Okay, there we go, much better. Now I actually have a little bit of time to get some of this on video. Mysterious noises coming from the background are, of course, my girlfriend playing with the dog. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Okay. So, I'm throwing another clamp over the top. Little gaff tape stuck around that. Come on, it'll go popping up on me there. So I got some. These clamps are all kind of providing counter pressure to each other. Anything like this, where some of the shiplapping has popped up, just squeeze that back into place. With this, with material this thin, tongue and grooves really won't work. This kind of joint sort of lacks some of the stability of a tongue and groove, but if you clamp it right, it doesn't really matter so much. So now these little pieces, I'm just going to slip under here. And I'm sure that glue's squeezing out like crazy under there. Now in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have tried to, kind of squeeze out all the material that I can. This probably would be a lot easier to clamp and glue up if I had, just left the boards full. Just go for a 3-foot square and work off of that. But fuck it. It's coming along fine as it is. I'm actually not sure if more clamping over here would help me. The thing about pressure, especially in the case of clamping, and these boards are sort of acting as coils, or a board that you would stretch across something as you're clamping. Pressure tends to radiate outward at a 45-degree angle. So if I have something that's going to be a circle, then from each of these locations, the pressure should be distributing itself right out to the center, and especially with these two on the underside flanking it, I think I'm in pretty good shape. Just checking along here. I am going to be got a couple of lips here and there. Whoop, there we go. I got a couple of lips here and there. I think a lot of that might be unavoidable. In fact, I think that, let's see what I can do here. You know what, I could probably put some weight on this. Probably stand to, let's see. What the hell, this might just be a blue tape affair. That's right, the traditional Viking method of using blue tape on your shields. Not quite perfect. I mean, my rabbits for this also weren't perfect. They were a little bit off. And honestly, by the time this shield is covered, and by the time it's had everything done to it, it's going to be done to it, I'm absolutely fine with this. I couldn't be happier with it. Maybe a couple of places need a good whack. Okay, so here we have it. This is actually at this point a couple of days after glue up. I got a little bogged down in a couple other things, but here it is. You can see that it's got a lot of flex in this direction, but that's all going to be solved when I add the center grip going down here. It's going to add a lot of strength in this way, and it's still going to provide a lot of give on the outsides, and most of that strength will be compounded by the covering that I'm going to put on it, which, by the way, this will all be the subject of my next video. Got the fabric for it. I didn't search too hard for it. I wound up with a cotton polyester blend of linen, but I got 3 yards of it because I figured I'm gonna wind up needing more than 2 yards to do one covering on each side of it. But pretty heavy stuff, and I will not be using hide glue for this. I know that hide glue is the traditional method, and I'm just not going to go for it because not only am I not set up for hide glue right now, I've never used it before, and I expect there to be a learning curve with it that I'm just not prepared to do right now. So that's going to be that's it. Tight bond 3. I'll get that over it, and I haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm going to stretch it over it. I've read about a couple of methods that involve all using hide glue and all just kind of stretching it over. Some guys use wood glue and staple it to the other side. With the circle, I can't see that being the best way to go with it, so I'll have to figure that out. But in the meantime, I've got myself a nice solid piece to work with, and it's with as much flex as it's got right now, it's pretty strong. So actually, the next video there's going to be a special little surprise because I'm going to cut out that whole outside circle on my table saw. That's right, I'm going to cut a circle on the table saw. It's something a lot of people don't know about, but it's a really cool trick. So shaping the shield, stretching the shield, and all the while shaping the shield with a fucking table saw. So just stay tuned, and that's what you're getting into on the next video.